Well, shit.
Yeah, it happened.
That was the football game just got over.
Yeah. Just finished. All right, ladies and gentlemen, hashtag Nation and Bills Mafia. Welcome to the hashtag Sports presentation of the New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills post game, sponsored by Mr. Rogers Homes in association with Crier.co. As always, you can find all of our stuff: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Where else are we? Twitter. Yeah, we're there too. You can find all of our socials in our link tree, as well as all of our episodes will be on iTunes and Spotify. The first post game of the year is not going to be a pleasant one, as we were talking backstage. A lot of expletives. When your team has 5 possessions in the second half and it goes for interception, punt, interception, fumble, and then a desperation field goal, you're not going to win too many of those games. So we're going to cover all of that tonight: offense, defense, special teams. Aaron Rodgers' ankle, his foot, his Liz Frank, whatever the hell it is. We're going to cover all that tonight in the post game. And if you're listening to us on iTunes and Spotify, Jesus. Like a walk-off kick, punt return for a touchdown.
Only the third time in NFL history that a game's ended on a punt return in overtime.
Third time.
That's great. That's a great one. Thanks
for
that.
You love to be part of a statistic on the wrong side, right?
You love to see it.
Oh my God, I'm dead. I used a couple of Ryan's phrases on Twitter today. I was talking about ball don't lie when he kicked the field goal and it doinked in barely. Ball don't lie.
Can we just take a moment to realize that from 50 out, he hit the flag on the top of the upright and doinked it in?
It's got a fucking cannon on that leg, man.
Of all the places of a post that has the most give, where that flag is, it's got the most give, right? Man, that thing sounded crazy. It was the only break Buffalo got all game, it felt like.
I know, right?
Except for the Achilles injury at the beginning of the game, that was
I don't know. Buffalo's defense
probably should have won you the football game
there.
right then and there.
Bill's defense looked a lot better when Rodgers was in there. I'm just saying, like I felt way more comfortable once Rodgers went out. I was like, ooh,
this is a typical Bills trap game.
67 times today.
Bills trap game.
This is EJ Manuel in London all over again.
Oh, stop it.
Let's not do that. I will tell you, though, the chat is blowing up. First off, thanks, everybody. And thanks to Mr. Rogers Homes for being the sponsor of the post-game show. Spencer Brown got beat like a drum today, and the chat is not happy with Spencer Brown. Like, that is pretty obvious. Ryan, I know you are not exactly riding high on the Spencer Brown train, so what's your take on Spencer Brown today?
As poor as Spencer Brown played today, he's like 5th on my list in terms of people that I'm pissed off at after this football game. Like, doesn't even register. I mean, the failure goes so far above your middling right tackle that I mean, Spencer Brown has to go, but Bean didn't do anything to address it in the offseason despite the need. McDermott clearly didn't ask them to do anything about it despite the need. And you reap what you sow. This is the team that you're going to have going forward. This is the roster that you built. And you were going to have to live with Spencer Brown being who he's been for the last 2 years at any point. So to be mad at the way he played, like it's some surprise that he was the worst offensive lineman on this team today, is like, it's misplaced blame is what it is. It's people trying as desperately as they can to not blame the people that they need to blame, which is the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the quarterback. This is who the blame today sits squarely on their shoulders.
Yeah, we'll get into that. I just wanted to respond really quick to Aaron Clark. He said, thought we'd get a game on the Chiefs and the Bengals. Remember, week 1, often an anomaly, but holy hell, boys. Remember, the Chiefs lost to the Lions, so it was not a conference game. Even the Bengals did lose to the Browns, so that is a conference game. So it would have just been on the Bengals, technically. So if you want to get a game on that. I'm going to come out of the gate swinging, guys. Did Saleh expose what we've been talking about for 2 years, that you force Allen, like the check downs and the intermediate routes and the short routes, they were all there. I mean, this guy was 15-21 at the half. And, just throwing it to Cook, dropping it down to Kincaid, dropping it down to Knox, doing certain things like that. When he went deep, they showed a stat up. It said he was 0 for 3, passes over 20 yards. He was 0 for 3 with 2 picks. Did Saleh expose what the weakness of this offense is, and then forcing Allen to play hero ball?
I'm not so sure about that. I think it's one of those circumstances where, we've talked about this a bit, and Ryan mentioned it earlier when we were offline. Josh just has a tendency to force things, and he's got a cannon, right? So he's got the opportunity to wait till the absolute last second. I think the pressure packages that he saw and the looks that he saw today were enough to delay him, where he made every throw late. Like, it just felt like every single throw was late. Nothing seemed on time. There wasn't a rhythm to anything he did at all. And you look at the first quarter and you say, okay, Dorsey's trying to get Allen in a rhythm. When you look at the throws that he was making, it just never got better from there. So I think Saleh is able to give some looks to Allen that make him pause. And I think the best way to beat Allen is to make him pause, right? Because your corners can close, your safeties can close. And that's the way that goes. And yeah, hey, thanks V-Man for donating to the hashtag charity. Jordan Whitehead is Allen's daddy. Listen, we'll take your money for that. That's fine. We'll gladly take your money. Talk all the trash you want if you're donating money to a charity. So thank you for that. Thank you.
The problem is what's Robert Saleh exposed is the same thing that Belichick has done a good job of exposing against Josh Allen. Is that you give him everything underneath, you give him those easy checkdowns, knowing that he's eventually going to get impatient and he's going to take shots downfield, ill-advised shots downfield. In the first quarter, Josh was 8 for 9, 54 yards. No reason to go away from that. From that point forward, he went 21 of 32, 5.7 yards per attempt, 3 picks, 4 sacks. He got impatient. He wanted to go downfield, and he forced it downfield. The first interception, fine with it. Can't have the other two. Just can't have it. And then, Paul, you made a great point about the fumble. If that's Kirk Cousins, if that's Aaron Rodgers, if that's, Mac Jones, they grab the ball, they fall down. And
you live to play another down. Yeah, you live to play another down. The game's on the line at that point. Like, I know that Buffalo wasn't ever really feeling like they were pressed. Like, I think that's part of it, right? I don't think Buffalo felt threatened by the Jets once Rodgers went out at any point in this game. I don't think they thought they had all the time in the world until they didn't. And, that fumble, I think, is a fair example of that. What good is going to come out of the ball that hits you in the face? Nothing. Fall on the ball, live to play another down. Right? Like, get yourself out of a bad situation. Just wait. So what? It's going to be 2nd and 13. You did that to yourself in overtime. Come on, live to fight another down.
Take that. Take the 2nd and 13, knowing that your offensive coordinator's got a running back draw in his pocket, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Gotta love those draws. Bills are actually one of the highest teams in the NFL last year. Running draws. I think they're 5th highest in the league in running draws. So I wasn't shocked.
And I can't think of one that worked. I can't think of one that worked.
Well,
so
that's the life we live, man. That's the life we live.
No, they don't.
I think
it is
interesting. A lot of
though.
Bills fans, though, were probably expecting to see a heavy dose of Dalton Kincaid, and I wouldn't say they got what they were planning for. Do you guys think that's a fair statement? I'm not going to say that he wasn't great. 4 targets, 26 yards. But, I think when you draft a player in the first round, a lot of Bills fans were thinking Dalton Kincaid is going to be a primary piece of this offense. Well, yeah, he was, 3rd on the team in targets today. But there were 1, 2, 3, 4 players that had 4 targets today, along with Kincaid. So, I wouldn't exactly call that featured.
No, but some of the looks that they had, I really enjoyed. I liked some of the formations they came out in. And I know a lot of people are in the chat project. Who gives a crap about formations? But that does ultimately set the rhythm of your offense. They had to move Diggs around because of Gardner, which that offensive pass interference. Come on, the guy fell over. Like that is that. You don't call that then. You really don't. I mean, he embellished that. He tripped and fell, so it made it look worse than it was. But and Ryan, told us off the air right before we came on. It's a moot point because you got the field goal anyway. But if they keep driving, maybe they take one or two shots at the end zone. Who knows? Who knows what happens then? But we saw what happened all night when they took one or two shots at the end zone. It didn't really fare out well for them.
He probably throws a pick, trying to force it into the end zone at that point. I mean, there was no reason to have any confidence in the offense doing anything other than just throwing it underneath, settling for the field goal, and hoping that you can catch them off guard in overtime.
Right. Yep. And hey, Ryan, we were talking about this off air. Josh Allen at the 10th lowest pressure of any QB this week. Yeah, and that's the thing about Josh that is it's just baked into the cake with him, right? Like he sometimes will manufacture pressure that's not there. And he throws some weird angles in the pocket. I think you saw that on that pass to Knox. He threw the ball low and sidearm and had Knox on the right side. And did the ball go through Knox's hands? Sure, but it was at his ankles. Like that.
Yeah,
that's a ball location. You don't need to put the ball there. I
got a little different take on that though, Paul.
I think he was trying to stop him, wasn't he, Mario? It looked like he was trying to just get.
He was trying to throw it.
Knox to stop.
Yeah, he wanted him because if he kept going and he puts that, if he leads him on that, Sauce picks it off. Like they didn't show you that from the one angle. If he puts that on him up high, where he can catch it and run, Sauce is running the other way with it. And I think that's the only spot that he knew he could put it. I mean, all in all, if we wanted to try to take positives out of this game, I mean, the defense, your offense turned the ball over 4 times, and you realistically only surrendered 16 points because that punt, that's on the defense. You know what I mean? You faced a quarterback that only had 140 passing yards and 14 completions over the entire game. That's got to be a win for your defense. Albeit, I'll hold my comments about Bernard until we start talking about him. But all in all, do you think the defense, albeit similar things that we've seen in the past, do you think they played pretty well as a unit?
Yeah, I don't care who the quarterback is. You only give up essentially 16 points. I mean, you should win that football game in regulation.
Not when you give up 172 yards on the ground. You don't.
You only give up 16 points. Bend don't break. I mean, your offense's job in today's NFL is to go score 20 points every game. That should be a slam dunk with a $250 million quarterback at the helm.
I think there's a pretty big difference, though, when you're looking at a team that, again, put up 172 yards rushing. The clock is not on your side there. And I think that was one thing that Buffalo did if you looked at Buffalo last year, they often dominated time of possession, right? Just straight dominated. And here they had time of possession, 33 minutes to about 28, right? Now that on paper looks like a big difference, but again, the Jets controlled their drives. They really did.
Yeah,
and Buffalo,
but I mean, they had. I mean, the defense gave up 300. What was it? 319 yards of offense.
Total. It was where is it
right now?
Total plays
289.
289.
And 83 of it came on one run.
Yeah.
So your defense gave up 200 yards
for the entire game, pretty much. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
you should win.
I don't know if I'm a defensive player for the Buffalo Bills, like, what else do you want us to do, Josh? And then put you in a position to win a football game than to hold these guys to, aside from one play, they held that entire offense to 200 yards of offense. And you can't, you just can't.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to spin this where it's anything other than the offense and just a straight breakdown on special teams, which has been a problem all preseason for them.
Do you think that Allen's pressing, because of a game like this, when you have two defenses that are as good as they are, you don't get a lot of possessions. So do you think that he was pressing because of that on every possession?
I think Josh got impatient. Josh got impatient that the big play wasn't there.
Well, and he was throwing against.
He's a big play hunter.
And again, he threw 3 interceptions to 1 single safety. Like, he was doing the best he could to avoid those corners. Like, let's just call it what it was.
But there was a stat, and I'd have to pull it up to find where it was. But at one point, he was 6 for 6 with 118 quarterback rating when targeting Sauce Gardner. So it's, again, yeah, probably avoiding the cornerbacks, but he didn't have to. It's like when he breaks the pocket when he doesn't have to. He's
right.
like creating these narratives in his head, and I think I don't know that Josh Allen thinks he can win a football game unless he has some big play in the box score at the end of things.
Yep.
Well, he's had two of those, right? It's weird. He's had 2 of the Bears last year and the Falcons the year before. He played.
Yeah, but the fact that he's done it doesn't mean that he believes he can do it, right?
Okay.
There's 2 different things, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of like this like he was only blitzed on 26% of his dropbacks today, but when you looked at it, it looked like it was like a jailbreak on every other play.
Yeah, it felt more.
Right? Like,
yeah. It did. And again, I think a lot of that is pre-snap looks. He did pick it up a few times, but there were a lot of times where his reads he was staring right into a blitzer, right? Yeah. And just couldn't get off of it. It was just problematic all the way around. And
they needed to call a better blitz beater than that inside handoff.
Yeah. I totally
better.
agree.
It worked a couple times, and then they went back to it a couple more times, and it got sniffed out each time. Like, you have to have a better blitz beater. That's why you drafted Kincaid, right? He was going to be the blitz beater, and he was going to be the red zone guy. And you never called anything take a while to develop,
Brian.
They do.
Like if Dalton Kincaid goes out there and catches 800 yards this season, it'll be like the 3rd best rookie tight end performance in NFL history. It takes a while for tight ends to mature.
Yeah, I mean, they don't need him to be Kyle Pitts, though, right? Like, they just need him to be like.
Kyle Pitts is still waiting to be Kyle Pitts. That's right? A really terrible example.
You know what I mean, right? 1,000 yards in his rookie year, right? Like, they don't need him to be Travis Kelce. They need him to go find a soft spot in a zone, replace a blitzer, turn around and catch the ball.
Right.
Like, you can do that as a rookie. Like, he can have 60 catches for 700 yards, and that's a great season for a rookie.
Yeah, and Mario, I think this comment kind of speaks to a lot of people in Hashtag Nation. We need an OC that can rein Josh in rather than be his buddy. I respect Josh admitting his errors, but want accountability. Josh really pushed for Dorsey to get that job. Like, big really time push for Dorsey to get that job.
He's buddy with him, and he'll let him do whatever he wants. And that's why, a lot of times I'll get down on Dorsey. And the one thing that I will get down on Dorsey is I think that in the halftime adjustments, he got outcoached in the second half. And I want to firmly, stand by that, but also say that there were plenty of times on plenty of replays that I saw that underneath intermediate routes, check downs were open. Now, that's not Dorsey's fault. That's Allen's. If he tries to force it somewhere, if he tries to run out of the pocket when there's still a pocket there, he's getting happy feet, all that stuff. That is not on Dorsey. What is on Dorsey is to make necessary adjustments for Josh to be successful. And he needs to say, listen, stop freaking throwing the ball down the field. After those interceptions, you should have been like, listen, dude, you're pressing. Stop freaking pressing. Take what's there. This game, we're playing against Zach Wilson. Our defense is killing him. Let's just, if we move down the field with consistency, we could put up 2 scores and end this thing. And he didn't want to listen. He didn't want to listen to that. Now, do I know that for a fact that's what happened? No, of course not. But from the outside looking in and having played this game, I know that's what happens at that position. When you have a guy who will rein you in versus a guy that's your buddy and he'll let you do whatever you want out there and let you call whatever you want. It's a big difference.
And we can't really speak to what happens on the sideline, right? No. I think the dynamic is very different this year on the sideline than it has been in previous seasons. I think that, probably changed when Dable went to the Giants. That dynamic on the sideline changed. Not that you'd call those seasons success, but again, I think you probably, looking in the rearview mirror, you probably do, right? Knowing what we know now. I think this game featured something that we haven't really seen in this Bills receiver core, and that was only 2 players averaging more than 10 yards a reception. That is not the common trait. Normally we're used to seeing, Diggs with his 12 to 15 targets, right? Like we're pretty used to that. And then normally you see Gabe Davis will catch 3 for 58, so he's north. And then again, normally there's 1 or 2 other guys who are up there, but the Buffalo doesn't really spread the ball around all that much. They definitely spread the ball around today, but every single receiver, it was Diggs averaged 10.2, Gabe Davis on 2 receptions for 16 yards off of 4 targets. And then after that was Dawson Knox, Damian Harris, and Latavius Murray, all between 8 and 9 yards, per reception. And I just, it's not enough offense, right? It's just not, especially when you look at, don't get me wrong, I like James Cook in space, don't like James Cook in pass pro, right?
They got him out of there. That's why they went to Murray late in the game.
They got him out of there fast in that 6th. Right, exactly. It's why you saw Murray in there. Yeah.
Yeah, today for me was like the Bills are Ferrari. Now you could either drive it the speed limit and get to your destination in one piece, or you could try flying around all over the place, hitting mailboxes everywhere you go and wreck the entire car. Allen wrecked the entire freaking car today.
Mm-hmm.
It's like today's not the day to try to let loose against a defense like that, because these are the games that you play against elite defenses that will come up and bite you in the ass. And it did. And that's exactly what happened. He did spread the ball. 9 different guys caught passes.
Yeah.
Okay. That's wonderful. Now, will this kill the narrative that Diggs needs to see 13 targets a game because the Bills lost? Now, does this pump the brakes for Diggs? I know it won't, but I'm just asking the question anyway. Does this pump the brakes for Diggs? Because listen, you had 13 targets. You had more than, the next closest guy had 6, and it was our running back.
Yep.
We need to spread the ball out more than just to people and more than just you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that conversation talked to this week at all? Do you think?
I'm not having it. If there was a situation where anyone else catching the football was having the success that Diggs was having, then sure, let's have the conversation about maybe spreading the ball out a little bit more. But that didn't happen. I mean, guys just weren't being successful despite the targets. And Diggs, when it comes crunch time and you go to any quarterback wide receiver duo in the NFL, what happens when it's crunch time? You go to your guy. And that's when they went to Diggs. They went to him early, got the lead. They started to fall behind. They needed to make a comeback. They went back to him. And that's what you do. That's what Cousins does with Jefferson. That's what Burrow tries to do with Chase. It's what that's why you go get an alpha, is you go get a guy who in crunch time, I know he's going to get open. I know he's going to catch the ball. I don't need to worry about him dropping it like, maybe a Gabe Davis or a Dawson Knox. And I don't need to worry about him struggling to get open like some of these other guys have in the past. So, I mean, you could make the argument that Diggs maybe should have had more targets today. They should have targeted him more when things were struggling in the 3rd quarter, when things were struggling in, early in the 4th quarter. So,
well, Abdi Omar, I just want to go over this real quick.
A couple great comments from him, actually.
Yeah,
so the first one was talking about 12 personnel. The Poyer one I do want to get to. The 12 personnel.
All right, go ahead. We'll put that one up
first.
first.
The scripting, again, you saw the idea was to get Josh going early, right? That was obvious. The idea was to get Josh going in rhythm early. And you, I think, see a big fault in Josh's game when it comes to making pre-snap reads, right? I think today is like the hallmark of Josh didn't necessarily understand what was put in front of him the whole game. That's the advantage that a player like Rodgers gives you, right? That's the advantage that a player like Cousins gives you. I'll be honest with you. I like Burrow pre-snap better than I like Josh pre-snap, right? Burrow, 100%. I don't think. Yeah. I mean, Josh is a far better athlete than Burrow, but Burrow really, really, really understands the other side of the line of scrimmage. Josh still seems to struggle there. And I think you see in the script, and that's why once you get outside of those first 10, 15, 20 plays, it seems familiar all the time because it is familiar. They're going to call what he can handle as opposed to what they've crafted, right?
I will.
And I think that makes your team predictable in the 3rd and 4th quarter.
I will say, though, Paul, on that point, coming from the defensive side of the ball, because I talked to my brother, he's been on the show many times, the former Division I defensive coordinator. He said planning for a guy like Burrow is easier than planning for a guy like Josh.
Sure.
Because of his athleticism, like you talked about. And he also said the reverse is true. If Josh is such this great athlete, there are more things being thrown at him than a conventional drop back passer that's not as athletic.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, Burrow, not to say that he doesn't have to learn as much stuff as Josh, but there's different things being thrown at Josh than there are at Burrow. It's like almost like night and day. So because of that, because of his athleticism, because he has the threat to run, because of all this other stuff, there's not many guys that you're not going to rush Joe Burrow the same way you rush Josh Allen. And therefore the defenses aren't set up the same way to attack a certain player like that. You know what I mean? So I wanted to comment on the one that he left right before that.
On Poyer looking old.
We said it in the offseason when he was trying to get free agent, maybe go down to Miami. You already got the best years out of Poyer.
Right.
If you're expecting 100 tackle season out of him with a couple picks, you're not getting that, guys. You already got the prime years out of Poyer. Like when he came back, I kind of got a little, why? You already you made that investment already. It's done.
Mm-hmm.
So
I feel like the Poyer re-signing was because, again, you looked at what happened last year and you said, well, I'm not sure on Micah, like neck.
Yeah.
Ooh, don't know about neck, right? Shoulder, I mean, that happens, right? As you look at Poyer, you're like, I probably swallow that one. But neck injuries are scary. So I think one of the reasons that he comes back is because, again, it was a neck issue with Hyde. Those are just a time bomb.
And Bills are electric. Play Taylor Rapp. He was in the box a lot in that second half.
I saw Taylor Rapp on that punt return that they lost the game on. So I'm a little salty about that.
What did you want in there, Siren Neal? He was blocked already.
Whoever's going to tackle the fucking returner, man. That's all I want. Because Sam Martin's attempt was pitiful.
You get one.
At least go for the ball in the face.
At least go for the ball.
I mean, just fucking fall down in front of him. That's all you have to do.
Oh my God. At least give your team a chance.
That was one thing that Brian Moorman was great at. Just falling down in front of somebody. He was the best at that.
He didn't have to do it much because he put it in the corner.
Didn't have to do it often, but man, when he needed to, boy. When you needed someone to fall down in front of a return man, Brian Moorman was your guy.
That was pitiful.
Yeah, it was
pitiful.
It was what an exclamation point on such a putrid night, though. I mean, I'll take positives out of the loss. I mean, I'll take positive. The defense looked very good, albeit in some spots they did not look very good. Way to go. I mean, I bet you there are some Tremaine Edmonds truthers out there that said you should have paid for Tremaine.
I mean,
I know you don't like him.
Terrell Bernard that's tough sailing for me right now. That's tough sailing for me because we argued via text message over whose fault the long Breece Hall run was, and I blamed Terrell Bernard, and I was outvoted. The guy got a hand on him. I was outvoted just because he got a hand.
I said him too.
He got two hands on him. He got two hands on him.
That doesn't mean anything.
What is more here? Let me ask you this: what is more likely? A middle linebacker knowing how to fill a cutback lane or a corner making a tackle at the line of scrimmage?
Neither.
I mean, I'm saying that he ran right into the mesh. He didn't even look for Hall. He didn't even know where he was.
Didn't. And that's where I get a little pissed, right? Because if you look at the alignment, that leaves two tight ends and a tackle on Trey. Right, and Hall just knifed it, and then Bernard's filling the 4 gap. Like, what are you doing?
He's filling the A gap, and he cut it over the C. It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
it didn't make any sense. Yeah, long runs against the Bills are commonplace. Yep, they did. That is true. Figures they had an 80-yard touchdown run against Minnesota last year when Delvin Cook took it to the house. Figures Delvin Cook's on a team where they take it 80 yards again.
It wasn't him. Cook looked bad today. He looks slow.
We talked about his carries.
Yeah, he looks slow today. I mean, again, compared against Breece Hall, who's coming off a fresh set of tires now. Let's just call it what it is. Homeboy's got a fresh set of tires on him now with that new ACL. He blew out that ACL in week 7, so he's had plenty of time to recover. and Dalvin's looking slow.
I got to put this up here because
Oh,
I don't get it much. Bills fan 7883. Have to give Mario credit. Thank you.
that's an
He
OG
questioned how
right there.
aggressive McDermott would be. Yeah.
7883. Bills fan 7883. He's from the post game in the Tim Hortons days.
Oh my God. Yes, he is. That's
Tim
right.
Hortons. Yes. Yeah.
You'll never know that Frazier didn't call this game. So, I mean, did you see a drastic change, if at all, of defensive philosophy for, obviously you're adding Floyd. You got another year under Rousseau under his belt. You know, you got Taylor Rapp in the fold now. You don't have Tremaine Edmonds. A lot of different things on that defense that McDermott had to contend with. But did you see any kind of a difference in the play calling? Or, I mean, Ryan said he's like, it's the same freaking thing all the time. You know, bend but don't break. You know, they don't take chances at certain times and all this other stuff. So what did you see as far as the defense goes? Was it a big change from Frazier? No change, or what?
I mean, I still saw receivers, you know, sitting on routes 15 yards and cover 2. You know, like it's just the same. It's on third down, right? Like it's still the same thing that I saw last year. So the pain points were very similar, although I'm more hopeful of the pass rush this season.
So you were watching
where I have to leave it.
You're watching the 2015 Panthers, is what you're saying, without the middle linebacker.
I will say that the defense. There were times where I felt like Matt Milano played more free, and times where I completely forgot he was on the field.
I think that he felt he had to do so much because when I was looking a lot in that game, I don't know if you guys watched it, but a lot of times, even before the snap went off, I saw the offense saw the back of Bernard's head talking to the safeties or talking to Milano or looking. It wasn't set. He wasn't set. So I don't know if
Bernard had the dot, right?
I know. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if he's not getting, communicating what's supposed to be in, he may not be there very, very long. You know what I mean? So it's, and someone I mentioned during the game, do you put Dotson in for the running downs and Bernard in for the passing downs? Do you push your tells like that? I'm not sure.
They ran for 172 yards. Every down was a running down. So Ryan, Kair Elam inactive today.
Yeah, super glad they took him instead of, I don't know,
Breece Hall.
Breece Hall.
I know. Those who were here for that draft know how I feel about that.
What a waste! What an unmitigated failure of a first round draft pick.
Can you call it a bust now? Can you
Absolutely.
call it? I mean, it's the kid's only this is his 17th, 18th game in the NFL.
Yeah, but this is, I mean, unfortunately for him, right? In today's NFL, they don't get the benefit of that anymore, right? Like there is no more. He's going to grow into the position. Like if you're 18 games in, a full off season in, and you can't even dress for the first week of the year, like that's a problem.
Yeah.
Like for a coaching staff who has always overplayed their rookies that they've drafted personally. We saw it with Ford. We're seeing it now with Spencer Brown. We've seen it with, Dane Jackson got chances when maybe he shouldn't have, albeit because of injury, but, he rose to the occasion. McDermott has given rookies every opportunity to stick around as long as possible and get time as long as possible. And Elam can't even dress. Like, come on. I mean, I
don't understand.
It's a failure of the highest order.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't understand that at all. And it's like, someone said, DZ put it in the chat. He said, no. No, that wasn't it. Where was it? Oh, there you go. No running backs in the first round. I have switched up my philosophy on that because of how the position.
You should.
Because of how I was about to attack Ryan for his Dane Jackson slander, but I'll figure you were going to do that anyway. So.
I want no running backs. He rose to the occasion, right?
He did. Yeah. Yep. He did. With the running backs, if a running back is good enough to even be considered in the first round, obviously you're going to have the 5th year option on the guy. the way that the running back position is in the NFL right now is you draft a guy, you run him into the ground for 4 years, and you get another one. That's
draft a first-round running back every 5th year.
Yeah, seriously,
Well,
just do that.
I don't know. Can
4
you do
years,
that? Right?
don't
Because
pick up
guys
the
are
fifth-year option.
holding out on their 5th-year options now. If they're
Don't pick
back.
up the 5th-year option.
Right.
Draft him, run him for 4 years. Draft
Don't
another
even worry about it.
Yeah, you get a bona fide stud instead of trying to
draft one every 4 years. Draft one every 4 years and trade that guy heading into his 5th-year option, and let it be somebody else, another team's problem. Go get a 2nd-round pick for him or whatever.
Because the way that the NFL has evolved, that might be the case. Because I know I'm getting a bona fide stud if he's considered a 1st-rounder, and I'm going to get that guy, and he's going to run for me for 4 years, and I'm going to draft another one, and I'm never going to have to pay that position more than a rookie deal. Especially if I hit on a quarterback that I have to pay $257 million who refuses to run out of bounds when he's right next to it, cuts it upfield.
Exactly. For no reason.
None.
For no reason.
It wasn't like it was the last drive of the game and he was getting the first down there.
Right.
He was already past it.
Or he tries to jump over another player 7 yards short of the first down.
Stop
What
it.
the hell is that?
I didn't understand that.
It's, but Buffalo's tried to bargain basement shop for running backs, right? Like you had Devin Singletary, you had Zach Moss, you had James Cook being the highest drafted of the 3. And I think there's always that compromise when you're looking at a player like that, because James Cook wasn't the first running back off the board, right? And you're getting a kid that is very explosive, right? But doesn't really offer you a lot in, from the guards, from guard to guard, doesn't offer you a lot. Can't pass protect, so you're making compromises there. Yeah. And if you want to be an elite level team, I don't know if you can afford to make those compromises, right? So you backfill it with Damian Harris, who I really like, and you backfill it with a 34-year-old Latavius Murray, 33, 34.
They always have to have the oldest running back in the league for some reason.
Bills always seem to have the oldest running back in the NFL. Yeah. But there's a big talents difference there. And that's why, like, if Bills are electric brings up a great point. Watching Jahmyr Gibbs run, holy God.
It's fun.
Oh my God.
Just watching Robinson run. Watching Robinson run is fun.
Gone. Boom. Gone. Every time.
You know how I used to watch run? I used to watch run and I used to appreciate it. J.K. Dobbins. I used to like to watch him run.
Yeah, that lasted real long.
that poor bastard.
Too soon. Yeah, right? He's got the Rashad Penny disease.
Hey, Rashad Penny inactive this week. And as a fantasy football owner of Gus Edwards, who I tried to trade to Ryan, and Ryan didn't accept the trade before week 1.
Not only did I not accept it, I believe I texted you something along the lines of stop trying to make Gus Edwards happen. And guess what? Gus Edwards happened.
Yeah, that's right. So fuck you.
Even though Justice Hill took both of the touchdowns. In that
doesn't
game,
matter.
So.
Doesn't matter.
You guys literally
have. Don't forget, Paul. Don't forget. Don't think that I didn't log into the app late yesterday going, I wonder if he left that trade out there for Gus Edwards on accident.
The moment I got that notification, I was like, well, I know what I'm doing right now.
Yep.
Boop, boop, boop. Just a little. These two guys are I haven't been in a fantasy league with either one of them in like 4 years. Yet one of them always has Gus Edwards. One of them always has, just this like mystery running back that's like, oh, yeah, he can come in. Like it was Elijah Mitchell or something one year that Paul was very high on or something. It was like these random running backs.
I loved me some Alex Collins. That was a big Alex
Collins.
Collins.
Yeah, rip Alex Collins. That's right.
Rest in peace. Yeah,
he was my running back equivalent of Josh Gordon.
He was. Every time Josh Gordon came back off a suspension, Ryan picked him up. Every time. It was so.
So do you guys crazy. To get back to the Bills game? Do you guys think
he was
I didn't get any more. Paul was high on Damian Pierce. Yeah, that's right. That is true. I didn't get the feeling, even with sharing targets, right, with the ball being spread out more. I didn't get a real. I'm excited about Deontay Hardy. I didn't get I'm excited about Dalton Kincaid. I didn't get Dawson Knox is back to being a integral part of this offense. I didn't get literally any of that today. I saw Gabe Davis on 2 of 4, right? I was like, that's what I knew I was going to get, right? I didn't, even though they've remade that wide receiver room, I literally didn't feel any different about it than last year.
I didn't expect to come out of this football game wildly impressed with any of the skill position players. This defense is so good. I mean, they are so good that the goal of tonight for the Bills offensively should have simply been survive in advance, right? Yep. Survive this great defense, do just enough to win the football game, and avoid Aaron Rodgers from picking you apart on the defensive side of the football. The fact that Diggs went for over 100 yards, frankly, that shocked me. I had him at the under. I think he was at 74.5. I took the under on that. They found success going at Sauce Gardner. James Cook, I thought, looked better than I anticipated he would look. I mean, you knew he wasn't going to be a point of contact guy, right? Like, he's going to be a guy that's probably going to get knocked down in the open field if he tries to lower his helmet against somebody. That's not the guy he is. That's why you brought in Damian Harris. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Dalton Kincaid got targeted 4 times, I think that's a positive. I mean, I think they should have used him probably a little bit more, but the fact that he didn't sit, that they didn't defer to Dawson Knox when things got tough. Like, it seemed like Josh was making a concerted effort when he could to go to Kincaid. Deontay Hardy, I still think he is what Bills fans thought Isaiah McKenzie was going to be. Like, he's quick, he's fast, he's going to make guys miss, get him in the open field with space. It looked like Dorsey was trying to do it.
Old habits die hard there, huh, Laisel?
It looked like Dorsey was trying to do it. I liked a few of the things that Dorsey did. I mean, for me, beyond Josh coming completely unhinged, which lies at the feet of 2 people, the offensive coordinator and the backup quarterback, and the draw play in overtime on 2nd and 15, I largely liked the variety that I saw Dorsey trying to throw out there. There were screens, there were swing passes, there was a wheel route that they ran to James Cook that frankly should have been a completed pass for a touchdown. They ran a lot of stuff that I really liked. It's just Josh is going to take those shots downfield, and they beat you tonight.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the shots downfield were just simply because they didn't take the Jets seriously? They're like, we got all the time in the world. If this doesn't go well, it doesn't matter. The first one didn't bother me, right? Because you were third and forever. So the first one didn't bother me. Second one was on 2nd down, so that's obviously a problem. The third one was on 3rd down. So was it just because they felt like they had all the time in the world? Like, yeah, we could be a little cavalier here. Let's just put them away. Let's just put them away.
Which is weird, right? Because your head coach is the absolute opposite of that, right? Your head coach is the guy who's, Aaron Rodgers is down, the entire, wind has come out of this stadium. Let's kick it on 4th and 2 and take the points against Zach Wilson-led offense, right? Like, he's the complete opposite of go for it, which is what makes Allen's performance over the last 4 years all the more maddening to me. That you have a hyper-conservative offense or head coach, a hyper-conservative, frankly, philosophy on both sides of the football. And then you have a quarterback who legitimately 4 or 5 times a game just yells YOLO and throws the ball downfield. Like, it's maddening to watch the dichotomy between the quarterback and the head coach on this football team.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen head coaches and quarterbacks that are very, very, very successful. You see that there's some type of relationship that they have. And I couldn't, during one of the timeouts in the 4th quarter, I think one of the Jets called the timeouts. They showed a picture of Allen like next to McDermott. They looked like odd together. Like, that's supposed to be like a big bond on the team. Like, I don't know how big it is behind the scenes, but it's like it looked like, a kid and, with his uncle at the family picnic that he doesn't want to talk to, that he's forced to. It's like, do I really got to stand here? Can I go back in the huddle? Thanks. Appreciate it. He yells YOLO and
there's, I personal total speculation, right? So full transparency, this is complete speculation and totally editorial journalism. I cannot be convinced that Josh's arm isn't still compromised. I just don't see any way he didn't have a UCL tear last year. I said it then. I still believe it. I'm just
pick was
telling you.
65 yards rolling to his left.
I know.
How hurt is it?
Hey, he would have thrown the fucking
He's a
thing out of the
cyborg.
stadium 2.5 years ago. Would have thrown it right into the seat. But
He was on
now.
his 25 and the guy picked it off at the 10.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
I'm just the reason I bring that up, right, is because when you're dealing with even a partial UCL injury, right, that impacts the rest of the pressure that you put on the arm to make throws. So you end up changing arm slots, you end up doing things to kind of survive the damage. And I think that plays with you a little bit, right? You don't have that trust. You're not perfect anymore. You're not invincible anymore. And I really think that that's a big part of Josh's game was he played because he thought he was invincible and until he wasn't anymore. And I still just can't believe that that's not in the back of his mind at some point. And again, given the hit, given the injury, given the recovery, given what they did, and just saying, oh, well, we'll just let it heal. There's no healing that. You're not healing that, right? Like I know I've seen pitchers go get like stem cell injections in their elbows in Mexico using like really questionable methods in the major leagues. Like that's definitely a thing. But it's just gotta be. Josh is such a mental quarterback. It's gotta be there somewhere.
It could be. I mean, you just to kind of put a little bit of a breakdown on it, Paul. You use different throwing motion. Like if a pitcher has a UCL injury, what pitches can't he throw? Like, are there pitches there's still pitches he can throw and not throw?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, great question, actually. So, it's all about how you, because the UCL, again, just to make sure everybody's clear, UCL is the ligament that goes down through the elbow, right? So if you're maintaining like when you throw, right, you pronate through when you throw, right? That motion. The reason that you pronate through and you flip the hand over is because it actually slows the arm down. The reason the UCL tears is because of abrupt stops over and over again. It just micro tears from the arm not slowing down naturally, right? It's like hitting a wall every time that you don't pronate. So things like curveballs, terrible, right? Because you don't pronate on a curveball. Your arm comes through and you don't turn your hand over on most curveballs or on most breaking pitches. There's something that you do, but it doesn't slow your arm down. And that's where you get that problem. That's where you have that issue. So when like you throw sidearm, it's real easy when you throw sidearm to get your hand back over. Right? When you're throwing from a more up top angle, you have to get the shoulder to rotate over to get the forearm down. So it is a little harder. That's why I say changing arm angles. It's something to watch.
Yeah. I mean, just break it down, Dr. Paul. I mean, it's important stuff. If we're talking about, I mean, we're just speculating here. I mean, we're just saying you're not fully for as hard as he throws the ball and with that injury that happened versus the Jets last year, as hard as he was trying to throw that ball, when it like the abrupt stop that happened on that play,
exactly,
he can't be 100%. I mean, he can still throw the ball because of the motion as Paul's talking about, but it's not going to be the same as it was, and he has to account for that. Well, what's one way to account for that? Make your reads faster, because his arm talent alone. And we said it when he was drafted. What's the advantage of having Josh Allen with Brian Daboll? Well, he can make reads late and still get it there because of his arm strength.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that UCL put a little bit of a damper on that. He needs to start making those reads a little faster. So 4 turnovers all on Josh, you're right.
Well, yeah, and it did throw into double coverage.
Well, that too. We already covered that.
I don't know. I have a difficult time believing that he's got a problem with his arm when he's overthrowing a guy that runs a 4.3 by 20 yards. Like, I mean, I understand where Paul's coming from. I think, maybe there's a mental aspect to it, similar to, like an ACL injury where there's just, it's not hurt, but it's in the back of your mind that maybe it still is hurt, but he's yeeting the ball downfield 70 yards in the air, rolling opposite his arm. I think that's, and telling that there's no Doesn't appear, at least. There's no wincing. Like, he's not coming out post game with ice on the elbow. Things that you tended to see last year when there was an injury that we're aware of. You know,
right?
It's just Josh being Josh. Like that's the quarterback that he's going to be, as long as you continue to surround him with people who aren't going to take him to task for being the way he is. He's been handled with kid gloves since Dable left. And this is, he saw the highest interceptions of his career last year besides his rookie year. And he's on pace for, we joke about it, right? They joked about it with Tyreek Hill, where he's on pace for like 4,000 yards receiving already. Like Josh Allen is on pace right now for, what is it, like 51 turnovers this year? So,
are we counting the fumble?
Sure, it's a turnover, right?
He gotta be in the 60s.
Hit him right in the face.
68 turnovers.
Yeah, quick math.
So, it's just it's. I saw someone on Twitter, it was Yards Per Pass, who's a good follow on Twitter for Bills fans.
Agreed.
He made a good analogy. Like, coaching is like being a parent, and you let your kids make the mistakes. You talk to them about the mistakes that they made. You tell them not to make the same mistakes again. If the kid keeps making the same mistake, you've got to reevaluate. Like, why isn't he listening to me? Do I need to punish him? Do I need to do something different as a parent? You need to take the same approach with the coach. Instead, what they've done is they've retained Dorsey as the offensive coordinator. They let Josh handpick the backup quarterback, which is a whole other issue that we're having now.
Yeah.
And will the organization step in and say, Josh, this isn't working with Ken. Like, we have to go in a different direction. Or what's it going to take to get through to Josh that hasn't gotten through with him the last 5 seasons? That you can't do this anymore, right? Like, we're not going to win football games if this is the way you're going to play in tight games, because they're a team. We preached it in the offseason, guys. They're a team that won 4 games last year by a combined 8 points, right? Now here you are again, first game of the year. Overtime, you lose it. They can't win close games, and it's becoming wildly apparent as to why they can't win close games. It's because they can't get a handle on their $250 million quarterback.
I will say that it was frustrating today to see the fact that the only passes that seemed to go downfield were the ones that were intercepted.
He was 2 for 7. 20 yards or more downfield.
Yeah.
For 41 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needed to take what was given to him. Like, he needs a Harry Hog. You remember Harry Hog?
Pardon?
Yeah, he needs Harry Hog.
But even if you look, Mario,
the pit guy from Days of Thunder.
Like, we talked about it, and it's almost like Dorsey's just trying to scheme the bad decisions out of
Days of Thunder,
Allen.
whatever it was.
It seemed like instead of like taking Allen, kind of like jacking him up and just being like, cut the shit out, it's almost like Dorsey's trying to protect him from those poor decisions, because all 3 of those interceptions, there was one guy down there that Allen was throwing to. Everybody else was underneath on every single interception he threw tonight. All
it was the clearing
were underneath
route,
with the exception of the deep route.
Yeah, that was the clearing route.
But you can't run a clearing route. You can't throw a clearing route into double cover. Like you run the clearing route to clear the underneath, so you're not throwing that.
Listen,
ball.
Ryan, you sound exactly like my high school coach, and I learned from him. You don't the clearing route. The clearing route's there so you could throw the underneath. And he's not doing. I agree. I'm agreeing with you 110%. Somebody needs to smack him in the damn face and tell him, listen, against a defense like this, and defenses that will watch this game, you need to stop doing this shit, because you're creating turnover. You're putting more pressure on a defense than needs to be. If you take what was in front of you, we control the clock, we control the tempo. You can get yourself into a rhythm. Once those guys start to creep up to try to stop some of those crossing routes and some of those dump offs and whatnot, then we'll go to the play action. You could do what you need to do, but stop trying to force the damn ball down the field. And for God's sakes, run out of bounds, you crazy bastard. Like, well,
they need to hire that guy that got fired, the high school coach that got fired for punching the kid in the stomach. Like that's who they need to go hire to be the quarterbacks coach in Buffalo.
That feels extreme because Josh Allen is a big man, and that was a high school student. So I don't think we're on the same level, Ryan, as far as how you solution for this. But I will say that the one catch that Gabe had, the one long reception for Gabe, there were 2 Bills receivers and 4 Jets defenders.
Yeah, I didn't get that. No.
I didn't get it. But that to me is route concept, right? Like somebody ran the wrong route. And
somebody
Josh
either
said,
ran the wrong route or that's a really bad play design.
Right. Yeah. Never run that play again. Right. It worked, but never run that play again. Like
worth noting,
box score, it looks fine, but you cannot have 2 wide receivers basically backpacking each other, dragging 4 defenders along with it. That can't happen.
Credit to Gabe Davis though, because he caught that with Sauce Gardner draped on his back.
So, he sure did.
Hell of a catch. Because last year Gabe Davis probably would have dropped that. So
Davis looked. I mean, he wasn't utilized very much. Obviously, Allen, as we've been talking about, kind of didn't really go to him, but he looks like he's healthy. At least he looks a lot healthier than he was last year. So that could be something that we keep an eye on.
From the defensive side of the ball, I am a little disappointed Joe's not on tonight because I really wanted to get his take on Oliver's one play tonight that he had. The one good play that Oliver had for that giant contract that they gave him.
Somebody tweeted in like the third quarter, like, "Oh my God, we still have Ed Oliver."
Super stoked that they decided to sign him when they've got Jordan Phillips off the street that's more productive than he is.
Yeah.
So I will be honest with you, right? The 3rd and 1 or the 4th and 1 that the Jets pulled in the 4th quarter, right? I was looking at it and I saw Jordan Phillips in the 0 gap, and I was like, he's going to jump off sides. I was like, there's not a thing. There's not a bone in my body that thinks he's waiting for this snap. Not one.
Yeah.
It was like, he's going to jump off sides. He didn't. But yeah, I thought it was going to happen.
So I'm going to say this, guys, as we prepare to wrap this up tonight, with the Buffalo Bills losing to the New York Jets 22-16 on the walk-off punt return touchdown. Allen is not going to play this bad again. I don't feel he's going to play this bad again.
Sure about that?
I think I'm hopeful that a professional quarterback getting paid what he's paid and has the experience that he does will not repeat this again. I'm happy it happened in week 1.
I have an idea. Keep talking.
Oh Jesus!
I have a tweet. So keep talking.
Oh, this is amazing. But you know what I'm saying is he played as bad as he possibly could, and it took a punt return in overtime to beat the Buffalo Bills. So I'd like to say I'm hopeful for the defense that with McDermott at the helm, he's going to take care of that, and they're going to be a little bit more productive, albeit they were very, very good the last few years with Frazier. But Allen's not going to play this bad again, and against a really tough defense. I don't think he's going to play this bad again. So continue on with your guys' nonsense if you want.
You have to go first, Ryan.
Okay, so this tweet comes courtesy of every Bills fan's favorite pundit, Nick Wright. Since week 1 of 2022, Josh Allen has played in 19 football games. He's had 20 interceptions and 17 fumbles in those 9 games. So 37 turnovers in the last 19 games that he's played, averaging 2 turnovers per game. So I struggle, Mario, getting on your side of the fence that he won't do this again, because this is who he is. And as long as Ken Dorsey is the offensive coordinator and Sean McDermott is the head coach, I don't think that there's any reason that anyone should think that Josh Allen's going to be anything more than what he is, which is going to be 2 turnovers a game. Sometimes he's going to go for 5-6 touchdowns in total. Sometimes he's going to lead an anemic offense in the 4th, in late in the game, and completely give it away. So I just this is who he is, and as Bills fans, you're gonna have to accept that this is who he is. He's a golden retriever who's a lot of fun to watch, and he's great. He's great with the kids, and he's great with the team and everything like that. But he's gonna go jump in the mud after he gets a bath, and that's just what he's gonna do.
That should have been your tweet. Please tell me you're gonna tweet that out later about the golden retriever parts, because that'll get some traction. No, there's got to be a bet in here somewhere. There's got to be a bet here. So every time that Allen turns the ball over twice in a game, I got to do something. Because I don't think he's going to play this bad. I'm hopeful.
I would give you odds. I'll give you odds, Mario, on a bet. Over
2.5
for the rest of under for the rest of the season. Right? He's got 16 games left this year. Over under. I'll give you 20.5 turnovers.
20. Wow.
I'll let you take the under if you want.
You said he's doing 2 a game. That's
2 a game.
more.
Yeah, that math doesn't check.
That math doesn't. That
yeah,
math ain't
that's
math.
not who he is according to Mario,
math.
right? He's going to get better.
I think we're
20.
we're at 30. I think 30 is a fair number.
Can I get 24?
I'll give you 24.5.
24.5 for the rest of the season. Okay.
Yep. Turnover.
Right.
Total turnovers. Lost fumbles and interceptions. I won't count the fumbles that hit the turf and don't get turned
stupid
over.
bet. That is a pridefully stupid bet.
I know. But the point is, when the bet is official, whether he goes the rest of the season and has 24 or he gets it by week 10, he gets 30.
At this pace, he'll have it in the Giants game at this pace.
We'll figure out something. We'll let Hashtag Nation decide what my punishment will be.
Also, over under before Christian Kirksey gets activated.
Oh God!
Who wants to do next
Activate
week?
him now! Activate him now!
Well, I texted the group during midway through the second quarter. Can they activate him at halftime? Is that possible?
I wish.
So the narrative of Josh will respond, as per Pro Football Reference, no, he won't. So it's one of those things. Like sometimes quarterbacks play different, right? Certain players, when they go through adversity, the next game they are just unstoppable forces. When Josh has a multi-turnover game, and I'm not just saying 2, I'm saying 3 or more, there's no response, right? He's just Josh Allen still, right? So there have been times where he's turned the ball over multiple times across multiple games, 3 or more. So again, it's only happened once or twice in his career where he's turned the ball over 3 times or more in consecutive games. So that's probably a good thing for Bills fans. But if you're thinking he's going to come out and throw for 600 yards, it's not going to happen, right? That's just his career numbers say that that's not how he's going to respond.
No.
So that's what I was looking for. I was like, how angry will Josh play? And unfortunately, angry Josh just means running Josh. And with his career fumble numbers, that's got to stop because Josh has almost as many fumbles as he does interceptions. He's got 52 career fumbles to 60 career interceptions. And I think for a quarterback, that's an underplayed rate. You know,
David Carr.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that was something that you point out. Like I pointed that out. I think it was last year about the running backs, like the Buffalo Bills, and I don't, is it a problem in Buffalo? Like the running backs, Singletary and Moss, put the ball on the turf at like a 1.5 times clip than anyone else in the league, and it was just. How is it that the quarterback has a fumble problem? Both of your running backs have a fumble problem. Like,
right?
How is that a thing? James Cook puts the ball on the turf in his first career.
First carry.
Right? Is it not emphasized in practice enough? Is it, I don't know. Maybe they need to make Josh run lines or something every time he turns the ball over. They got to do something because they can't sit around and wait for Brian Dable to get fired in New York and hope he comes back to replace Dorsey.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No.
Although Daniel Jones is complete dog water.
I mean, if they lose a couple more times, 40-0 in their home stadium, maybe he will get fired sooner rather than later. Maybe they can make the switch. Maybe there's a trade. Maybe Buffalo can trade, somebody to the Giants for Dable. Who knows? That's how it works, right? Didn't they trade? Somebody traded for Sean Payton, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull a Paul quote out here for this one. We're gonna get going here, guys. Terrell Bernard was credited with 11 tackles tonight. Yeah, the nameplates of the Jets players.
Yeah, right. How many of those were from behind or on top of him?
Yeah, I mean, and only 4 solo tackles. So there you go.
There it is.
Terrell Bernard was really good at running into a pile that had already stacked up and getting ready for a half tackle today.
Beware when you guys rake leaves this fall because Terrell Bernard might just pile into it.
That's right.
Trade Dorsey for Dable. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen either.
Trade McDermott.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of the evening. If you guys didn't know, the Manning cast, it was on. And if you need like the play-by-play, don't watch the Manning cast. But if you just enjoy listening to like bantery football talk like this, the Manning cast is a lot of fun. The Bills do have another Manning cast game later this season, which I believe they're on schedule for again, which I'm excited for. But Ryan Fitzpatrick was their guest for the third and fourth quarter.
I did catch the fourth quarter. Yeah,
he is so funny.
He's a national treasure.
He was wearing the Bills helmet down the stretch.
Looked like Mario.
He had the best of the entire night to me was he had the helmet on. He was talking to Peyton about how that's his rally cap. Yeah. As soon as Josh fumbled the ball and the Jets got it back, you just saw him slowly take the helmet off and put it down and put the Jets one on. It was just,
he did. He put the Jets one on.
That's right. Well, and the reason I bring that up is because my wife had asked me, she goes, "Oh, do Eli and Peyton not live close enough to each other to do the broadcast?" I go, "No, they must not. I don't know where they live. No, they must not." And then Fitzpatrick was talking about how he was in Arizona, and that's where our sponsor of this show is. Sean Rogers is in Arizona. So if you guys are going to look to be Ryan Fitzpatrick's neighbor, you should call up Mr. Rogers Homes, our sponsor for tonight. So just casually mentioning it there, just sliding that right on in.
As smooth as a chainsaw. I love it. There was a Bull Durham reference, by the way.
There was
the Manning cast. Yeah,
there was. Yeah, Crash Davis. There's a Crash Davis reference.
Don't mess with a winning streak. That's what he said. All right. So hashtag Nation Bills Mafia. Thank you for joining us for the hashtag sports presentation of the New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills post game. Buffalo falls to 0-1 against a division rival and an AFC conference game. We'll have to see how they fare next week against the Raiders.
God,
I'm not worried about that game.
It looks bad. It looks so bad.
I'm not too worried about that. I am a little worried about Josh Jacobs. If you are a betting man, whatever Josh Jacobs is, just bet the over, because that's all they got. Josh Jacobs will run for 347 yards against this Bills defense.
No, you think?
It might not be 347, but watch that Vegas line. I bet you the over is huge on Josh Jacobs. I bet you the over is huge.
All right, let me see if I can get this down for T-Dobbs here.
I'm so tired of that. Between the I can't believe this is happening stares of Josh Allen and the goddamn clapping of Sean McDermott. I'm just so fed up with the sideline antics of the football team.
We need Karl Mock back.
I don't even have to listen to the post-game press conference of Josh Allen to know exactly what he said. It's just so tiring.
Yeah. All right. So once again, thank you for joining us. For Paul and Ryan, I am Mario. This is hashtag sports. We'll catch you guys during the week. Have a good night.
Hello, fellow Bills fans. Sean Rogers, realtor and lead of the Mr. Rogers Homes team. Did you know that real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth, and right now is one of the best times to own an investment property in Arizona? Please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions so we can take the next step to your financial freedom here in the Valley of the Sun, utilizing real estate. As always, God bless America and go Buffalo!